Welcome to the Heat Academy.
Yeah, dear Mr. Christian, I know you're on a mission. I know you say the answer to my problem is religion. I know I'm supposed to change the way I live and stop sinning, but I'd appreciate it if you take some time to listen. Dear Mr. Christian.
And the question I got last night was how does a Christian guy is a Christian guy supposed to remain abstinent in today's culture?
It's a good question.
It is a good question because honestly, I don't think you could find very many young people that claim to, that are professed Christians and find them be virgins. Especially teenagers. I'm talking about from teenage up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not talking about young kids, but I'm talking from the teenagers up. I don't think you can find many young, people in their teens and older that are virgins.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I think that's one of those things where, is what Jesus says, the way is narrow, and it's just more narrow living that life today. And especially, as a Christian, like in my head, I was estimating like what percent of do I think a Christian couples are actually like keeping it together in that area? And I was thinking like 10%.
I think about
especially with the culture, especially with the dating time frame that's expected out of culture. Like if you're having to wait like a year and a half or 2 years before you're like from dating, day one to marriage, like as my dad would say, like if they're able to do that, they must not like how attracted are they to each other, or they just have some extreme boundaries that are really working. But I mean, I would always advocate obviously for it. I've lived my life that way. I've had to go separate ways with Christian girls over that topic because they weren't willing.
So wait, let me get this straight, Mike. So you're a virgin?
Yes.
Man, you more power.
I'm one of the rare ones,
dude. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know how you do it. I'm like, well, how old are you? You're like 28, 29. Okay, so I'm gonna be 39 this year. At your age, when I was a teenager, man, I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't take the credit. Like I take circumstance. Like, frankly, when I was younger, I was kind of a dopey kid. Like, so number one, I just didn't have any chance with girls until I was older, which I think does happen to a lot of men anyway.
Yeah,
like, they just kind of grow into themselves a lot better. And I was from small town Minnesota, and like just completely different atmosphere than probably big city public schools and whatnot. So my environment kind of allowed allowed me to live the way I did. And then like in my college years, I got into a great Christian community where that was just kind of the standard. And I always, like, from a young age, I had it drilled into my head on any women I would pursue. Like I wanted them to share my values. So it's just kind of worked out for me that way.
No,
is it easy? Awesome. Is it like, it's gotten harder for me now because like the options I've had with girls have expanded, and it just adds more temptation to it.
Oh yeah. So do you run across that a lot? I mean, you're a good looking guy, you're in shape, you're young, you're fit, like I'm pretty sure there's a lot of temptation thrown at your way.
Yeah. I mean, that's why for me to pursue a girl, she's got to I kind of lace just stuff out there right away on how I am.
Do you have a really ridiculous standard?
Well, it depends what you define as ridiculous. I feel like if you're a Christian,
okay, with the modern woman, call it ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. But I think when you're dealing with trying to live the way God intended, you are kind of a unicorn in today's world. So regardless, your standards are ridiculous, but you're also holding yourself to quote ridiculous standards by the world's view anyway. So I would say my standards probably went up more after learning the red pill. Though I was a little more lenient maybe before that, especially on the girls' past.
Oh yeah, the church is really big on preaching, like, you don't judge somebody from their past. They repented, they move forward. You know, he who without sin, go ahead and cast the first stone, right?
Yeah. And so yeah, they, you know, I've gotten into that conversation a lot lately, and the past is one thing that I still don't know like fully where my lines are at, especially when I've maintained what I've maintained. Is really hard for me to stomach a girl that's especially done the standard kind of like come back to Jesus when she's 29 thing, because a lot of those girls are the ones trying to talk to me. And so yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic.
Yeah. So, because like like the question, the way I answered it to the guy that asked me, and I think his name was oh, what's his name? Oh man, I forgot his name. I feel horrible. But the way I answered his question was like, well, regardless of what the culture does, if you believe in God and you believe that the Bible is his blueprint, his book for you guys to follow, then it doesn't matter what the world does. It doesn't matter what the culture's doing. You have to operate this way. Now, I can't say I did, and that I feel bad about that. I wish I would have. I probably would have had a lot less headaches with women in my life than I did. Um, and but I commend you for that, because that's a rarity. That's a huge rarity. And not a lot of men, period, have the willpower, let alone the conviction to maintain that. I remember being at the gym as when I was competing in bodybuilding. I used to like pray to God every time girls are coming in. I'm like, dear Lord, keep my mind and my heart pure, Lord, and my eyes on you. And I would just repeat that over and over again until the temptation,
The gym's definitely rough.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Especially you're in Florida.
Yeah.
It's real rough.
It's yeah, it's an interesting place. And and also coming from small town like Midwest America and then moving to Florida, like hearing, like I became friends with some people or some girls at the gym and stuff, very beautiful girls, and just hearing their like lifestyles and like what's going on here, it's another world. Like the sugar daddy thing is just super common. Didn't even exist where I'm from.
That didn't exist like when I was in school. Like,
Yeah.
I never even heard of like a sugar daddy until like maybe 5-10 years ago. About 5 years ago, actually.
Yeah, so it's definitely a different world here, and yeah, I can see where it'll be tough for Christian men here to find like a girl that doesn't have quite a past, I think.
And I think you're right for that. Like, you're saying, hey, I'm keeping my purity intact. As difficult as it is, I'm a guy. I have testosterone. I have 17 times more testosterone than you ladies do. And if I'm able to maintain my purity, then I expect my bride to be able to maintain her purity.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, logically, it makes complete sense to have that expectation, but then it's like, well, if I'm only gonna like pursue virgins, it's like there's like 10 of them in the country, it seems like.
You're maybe about 12 max.
Maybe 12, yeah.
Depends if they're Mormon, because they do some other weird stuff,
Yeah.
like soaking, and they don't count that as sex. So
Yeah.
you gotta be careful for those.